So welcome everyone to Mindful Mondays with Laura Cross. I am your host and resource for self-care and mindfulness. And today we have Dr. Constance Leyland, also CJ. Oh, good morning. CJ with us. Powerhouse leadership, mentorship, and business expertise. And CJ is a champion of change and is dedicated to helping others succeed. So CJ, I want to welcome you and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Laura. This has been beautiful works for a while now. So I'm glad we can make it today. I love it. I love the flexibility and I love the title, Being Mindful, because, when you are busy and you're always stressed and all of these things that you're running around, if you're not mindful of your own self and care, nothing happens. So thank you for this space.
Oh, absolutely. Happy to. I am so glad you could make it join us today. So you have a number of things going on. Can you tell me what started you on your journey of being a champion for change and some of the things you've got going? You've got a lot going on between academic pursuits and professional commitments. But what started you on that?
Actually, I worked in different mini industries. Actually, I work, now education mainly, but I would say for the last 20 years of my life, I was a stay-at-home mom. I take care of my kids for 10 years of their life. My kids are one adult and one in sophomore year in high school now. And then I just pursued my education while I was doing stay-at-home business, and I did some business selling like certain items, really like Japanese anime. Then before that, I was already in management and director at Geico. That was my main huge job, right out of college. And then it was kind of sad that when I was trying to get a job, and I already had a doctorate, mind you, I couldn't get a job. It was so difficult because they see you, they means hiring managers. I'm talking to you out there. Basically saying, hey, you haven't worked in corporate, you don't have skills. Ouch. I was like,
yeah,
I don't have skills. I'll show you what skills are. And I was knocking on doors and he was just like, boom, boom, shot, no, 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 and everything. So I said, the way you look at that is shifting your mind. No means next opportunity. No doesn't mean stop looking for one, right? So I said,
right.
Next opportunity, great. And I couldn't just find one. So finally, I went to DC. We were living in the East Coast, and I had a friend who is a guru on resume, and she helps veterans. I'm not a veteran. My husband's not a veteran. But she felt bad, I think, for me because our kids went to the same school. And I was just like whining about like, what is this? And she's like, why don't we help you with your resume? So she gave me that bump and ideas to how to reword my resume. There's a software. I think at that time, 20 years ago, there was a little bit of software looking and manual stuff. And I was like, okay, so it's just really shifting your resume and shifting your attitude to do that. And in that, I ended up having a job back again, part-time teaching at that time. Then I moved again. My husband's not in the military, but our government actually was his, customer. So when we moved, I said, okay, now I can get a job because we're staying here. So I just teach and I work in banking. I was selling software. I was in construction account management. I was in real estate, like helping the brokers and things like that. But I've always loved helping people. And so, when you're in this journey, you don't know what your purpose is until you just keep doing. But all I know that was constant is it makes me feel good when I help others. Like it just puts a smile. You couldn't buy my happiness at that point. And then I went back to education and then COVID happened. So I got my first shot, no problem. The second shot I started bleeding uncontrollably. And I called CDC and they're like, yeah, you might be allergic to something. I was like, great. I could have died bleeding to death. Right. And,
right.
But the problem with our system, again, that if you don't have boosters, you can't go to work and do face to face. Well, before COVID happened, I was a dean at a university. I love education. I said, I'm going to go all out. I was a business dean for universities. And I was like, sure. But I couldn't go back to my old job because they wouldn't allow me on campus. I don't have boosters. So yet I have faced another issue. And I was like, I don't understand. What is happening here? I feel like I'm set up to fail. So I always try to find ways and innovate ways. Then I was working part-time as when you're an adjunct, basically part-time teaching. I was working in an adjunct and my friend's like, hey, I'm leaving. Maybe you should take over my job. I was like, maybe, I don't know. And so I was the last person to interview for a dean's position online for another university. And so I got the position. And then I think the reason I got that position is because I was already working part-time for about 10 years. And then I just went all out on education. But then when I'm in education, there was also a problem because the COVID happened and some of the universities have very old school rigid rules. So I started podcasting because I wanted to solve the problem. Within that, I quit being a dean. It was just too much drama. I said, I'm just going to work full-time, teaching. So I did. And within that, within 2020, when does this happen? 2022, I actually started talking and full time and being a dean. And one of my students had an issue. She was a lawyer, I remember, from Kenya. And she said, I don't understand American culture. And I was actually teaching organizational culture. So a sideline, we had conversations helping her, and she had issues with management and all that. But within 3 months, I got her move up in a job. And she was her boss's boss. And she's like, Dr. Leyland, you have to teach this class that you're just created just for me, for another people. So I started Level Up Academy then, just for her and her friends, to teach international students. And they can move up on organizational culture with communications and things. And I literally put it on beta, sent it to all my friends in the world to say, give me feedback. I want to perfect it. And so that's how Level Up Academy started. And then my podcasting business, it started because of that. It's not even a business. It was to solve a problem. Then it pivoted. I was in LA Weekly and Mentors Collective. I mean, magazines just keep coming. And so my dad said, hey, you should be on YouTube because you're repeating yourself all the time with your students. I was like, Dad, I don't have time. I'm so busy grading students, right? Because I worked for 3 universities at that time. And one was full-time.
That's a lot.
I was like, 600 students is a lot. And my dad's like, no, just join YouTube, click the copy share link and tell it to your students, hey, you watch this thing. So you don't have to repeat yourself. I'm like, that makes sense. So I went to YouTube trying, to do that. And last year, last year, April, I had 36 subscribers. And my dad's like, see, you had 36 subscribers. This is better than 0. I'm like, true, Dad, true. So I said, my goal is to hit 5,000 by the end of December. And I worked with books, created some anthologies, doing some other creatives, and then put more courses out there for people who actually are. I do have a master's in cybersecurity and counterterrorism, and I love computers. So I said, okay, but a lot of the business owners are not computer savvy.
Right.
But they have short span. I was like, okay, how do I solve this problem? So I created classes that's technical, but non-technical users. And so I put it out there and it was like, whoa, CJ, let's do it. I'm like, okay. So I had more students in there. And then I said, okay, I really need to concentrate on YouTube. So by the end of December, I hit 20,000 instead of 5.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure you've blown way over that by now, right?
Yes. After 2.5 months, now I'm at 50,000. My goal this year is to hit 50 in December. Like this December, I'm going to hit 50. I just hit 50 this weekend. Thank you and grateful. And then I hit #1 international bestseller as a first time publishing my own book as an anthology. This is my 8th book, but it's like I literally leveled up 27 different co-authors, including myself, on the international space in the pursuit of leaving legacies. That's what I wanted to do for all my people.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you got so many things in there. I mean, for one, it's amazing how our journey, whatever we go through life, kind of leads us to a certain place. And I think that's one of the reasons why you and I kind of gelled right off, is because we both have a passion for helping others. And everybody seems we've had a journey. I could tell people, I say, you don't wake up and say, woohoo, I want a podcast or I want to host a TV show. There's things that got us there. But how do you balance your various academic pursuits, your professional commitments, and then continue your mission to mentorship and personal development? I mean, that's a lot. You got a lot going on.
Yeah, I didn't mention I have a TV show. like us.
Yes, you
I
do.
have two TV shows. I have Thursday and Sunday TV show. See, I pivoted my goal about 8 months ago. I said I wanted my vision. I lost friends actually because they thought I was crazy. My vision is to be the Netflix of education, and my mission is to level up the world through education. And really, my goal is to have pockets of Level Up Academy anywhere on all continents, because I think education is an equalizer for people, right? To really
Mhm.
be educated. And education doesn't necessarily mean, we're so quick to say you have to go back to school and get a master's and doctorate and all that. Listen, guys, I have 4 degrees. I'm going for my fifth one. I'm a part-time student for my third master's now in psychology. Industrial and organizational psychology is what I have, because I am a coach practitioner for cognitive behavior therapy. I have my own issues. So I'm trying to help my own self with my own issues.
Help yourself and help others at the same time. There
Right.
you
I
go.
had to learn the mistake, and then I will tell you how that happened. And so I have that, and I do work full time as a business director for a small college, and I also teach full time on an MBA program for another nonprofit. And I have Level Up Academy. What I'm really proud of is my team. I do have a team at Level Up Academy. We sell two things. We do courses for people, for founders, because let's be honest, founders, we don't have money. I know because I'm a founder. Okay. We don't have money, right? And so what we do is we teach people how to make money in some of these things that we do. The other one that I just recently really kind of leveled up is publicity. I call myself the publicity queen. I can get you on live stream. I can give you like this TV show. I have a radio show that I partnered every other Saturday from the Block Hot 105. And then I have an MP3. I'm also on Spotify, you name it. That was my first baby. And I'm in 90 nations and countries and growing on that. And then, of course, I have my magazine. So I have Level Up magazine. It's going to come out the end of this month. And then I have access to over 100 premium magazines. So we're talking Entrepreneurs, Forbes, MSN, Yahoo, right? All of these things in UK, and all the PR people. I have friends that I work with PR agencies. It's because I want to be able to have people to make it affordable, right? Everything costs money, but it shouldn't have to be cost you arm and a leg to get your message out there, because at the end of the day, we have businesses to help others, right? And if no one knows you, then who's going to get your business? But it also costs money to get into business and get all of these magazines. Like one magazine was $50,000 for 800 words. I'm like, who pays $50,000? I wouldn't, even if I have the money. No, I could see 1,500, 3,000, maybe max. But 50,000? Are you nuts?
And that doesn't even count the debate that a lot of people consider magazines kind of dead, but then there's the argument that magazines are not dead. So yeah, I would think that would be a struggle, but.
Well, there's a magazine, online magazines, because it actually, the physical magazine, yes, I think it's dead for real because no one does circulations anymore. So they actually pivoted and changed because of technology to do online, and they reach more people. So what I do with magazines is I don't just put you in magazine because you want to. I literally will ask my client, why? Why do you want to be in magazines? Don't do it for posterity or vanity measures, because you're going to lose. You're not going to know what to do with that. But I also say why, because I coach them that being in a magazine is great because that is used for authority, right? But you can't be on like CEO Weekly and you're not a CEO, right? Or if you're doing healthcare and you're on the business side. I'm like, well, healthcare is technically business, but you should be on healthcare first, then business. So there's always that strategy that I use to help you navigate, like, how do you do it? And most PR put you on magazines and then, you paid me. For me, I don't do that. I give you a journey. I said, okay, I'm going to teach you how to use your authority so you can actually show up for yourself as a business owner. And then I'll give you 60% discount because I love coupons and discounts. So that's what I do with my clients.
Oh, and you got that all figured out too. I love it. You just got so much going, and I love your heart. I always have ever since we've met. But can you maybe discuss a particular? Well, first of all, I want to touch on one thing. I think it's very sad that you lost friends because you had so much going on. I mean, if they are friends, they should be there to support you. And I know that's a struggle for some people, but I think I always say they sort themselves out. So it's like they obviously weren't your true friends. You will find who your true friends are or your tribe if you just keep pushing forward. What were your thoughts on that?
I always have issues back in the days, and I have tried shaman and like all kinds of spiritual things to tell me what is wrong with me. Like, am I cursed, right? Like, first my parents didn't want me. Then now it's like my friends are leaving me and I'm an only child. Like, what is going on? And one thing that made sense is that sometimes we are put here on earth really not because they want us to be comfortable, but they want us to make an impact. Us as in up there, whoever's watching me, right? And I'm not competing with anybody because I don't even keep scores on anybody. If I help them, I keep scores of the man above. Because at the end of the day, this is just body. And so when it comes to friends, I see it as you're here sometimes for a reason, and sometimes it's only for a season. And I have friends that I've had for 25 years, and how I lost friends is because they think that my vision was so big. Think about my vision though. If you're a regular thinker, right? Like, I want to be the Netflix of education. Who does that? CJ, because I'm crazy. Like, you know what I mean? I didn't have TV then.
I call it motivated or driven. I don't know about crazy, but
right?
Hey,
I call it
crazy's good.
I'm ambitious. Okay. That's just how it works. And then I said, okay, then they're like mission, level up the world through education. You know how big the world is? I'm like, I know 4.5 billions are Asian. Got it. 8 billion right now with people. Got it. Gotta start somewhere. You know what I mean? Gotta start somewhere. And so that's why I'm motivated every day to level up everyone in terms of legacies. So that's why I do books, because think about all the greats that we have, Laura, right? The presidents, all the Abraham Lincoln and all the great artists. How did you learn from them? They didn't have any television. They had books, right?
Yep.
100 years from now, your great, 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 great grandkids will never even know how much you made an impact in your community. But if I write about you and you write about yourself, they will have that 100 years from now. Oh, wow, my great, great grandma actually suffered this and she thrived on this adversity. Imagine that coming from your own lineage, right? That's what I want to leave legacies for the rest of the people. So if I lose friends because I'm ambitious, that's not my loss. It's actually theirs.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So can you discuss real quick maybe a particular moment in your career where you faced a significant challenge and how did you overcome it?
Yeah, my journey as a dean on two different universities.
That was your most significant one? Yeah.
Oh yeah. That was the most one to me that's recent. I have a lot of adversities, but I think that one is really significant because at the moment of despair was born creatives and innovative ideas, right? When you have limited budget, in fact, no budget, and you have to move and herd people just based on your ideas, and actually people said, oh, you're not crazy, let's go ahead and jump in. I inherited a toxic environment leadership and I was not aware. So when I came in, everyone was already hating each other. And then we're losing students and things like that. And for me to bring it over to the point where it was 100-year-old school, over 100-year-old school, never had a summit ever before. I've created summits and I brought in external from Google and Microsoft. I know people who are CEOs in big organizations. And I'm like, I always appeal on their heart. I say, guys, I don't have money for you, but I know that the currency in life, it's not money, it's actually time. And I really would love it. And I will forever be grateful if you guys give me at least 1 hour of your time to inspire the future leaders of our country, our community. When you say it like that, they can't really say no. So they just go.
And if they do, then do you really want them? Yeah.
Right. I was like, And they know, I know a lot of people, they're like, CJ, yes, let's do it. And I volunteer. I used to be the United Nations ambassador for women and girls. I still do the United Nations. This book right now that's going to go on sale soon. Part of the book that portions I make 80 cents or $1. I need to buy trees so that I can give farmers in Africa jobs and also our environment back the trees. So I'm committing 27 trees because of my 27 authors. So whatever sales that we got, I'm going to buy trees for each of my authors with their name on it. as a certificate that you are giving back to the community even further. And so I'm not a rich person, so I always try to find a way to give back to my community, even little bits. And I think the most challenging for me is finding ways to be innovative in times where it was just turmoil for my team. And I instead of like bickering, I said, guys, let's rally on and do it for our students, right? You are a teacher for a reason, because you are giving heart in this journey, and we're all teaching. Put the ego down for a bit. And I know you all are amazing in your own right, but I think we need a summit for our students and for our colleagues. Luckily, they said yes. And then after they said yes, we created that summit information into a book. I put it on academic publishing. So I also do academic publishing in 6 different languages. So yeah.
Yeah, that is really amazing. And I know we have more to dig into, especially about how you're staying innovative and how you're blending your background of technology and cybersecurity in today's landscape. But we're going to take a quick break from a word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
We got soul, oh yeah, we got soul.
Hi, I'm Bobby Aldridge with BAM Metrics. There are so many programs out there that measure your swing speed, sets, reps, your BMI, your body fat, but the one thing they're not measuring that's so essential is mobility. Mobility is the key. If you're measuring your mobility, your performance will get better and you will reduce your pain. I created BAM Metrics to make it easy for people to repeat the exercises so they could do it properly at home on their own. It's simple, it's easy to do, and from a senior to a pro athlete.
Relief for PTSD, anxiety, pain, insomnia, and many other ailments. Introducing Vibe, the world's only pocket PEMF device. You place in your pocket while cooking, cleaning, relaxing, watching TV, sitting at your computer, reading, or walking. Self-contained standalone device. No drugs. No other phone or Bluetooth connections required. No monthly subscription fees. No apps to download. No Bozone. The future of medicine is in the frequencies. Come join the revolution.
So you're talking about how you have a background in information technology, cybersecurity. How do you navigate the complexities of the digital landscape in business today with that?
Complicated. It's like relationship. I also honestly, to be honest with you, this is something that I have dealt with in terms of cybersecurity. In terms of that, I don't have a background solid on that, but that is what my husband actually does for a living. That's how he feeds our family. Okay. So having that conversation with him, I get a tutor actually to do that. And what I do is I go to the high level. And the reason even I got that degree is because I've seen his salespeople selling to business owners, right? And to the CEOs and the CFO and the CISO, they're not communicating because he talks about tech and all of the tech information and all this. The business people go, huh? What are you talking about? Right? What I do is I coach them. Okay. So I said, okay, first of all, you need to speak language for the business people so they can understand how to make better decisions and strategies for their organization to buy your $20 million product. Okay. Let's get it done. Like 20 million. Okay?
Yep.
So you can't just throw out words in there. Like imagine if I speak a different language, which I do, and I throw out the words in there to try to talk to you, and you're like, sorry, what? What? That's exactly what you're doing for them. And then at the end, you're like, 20 million, please. No. right? So what I do is I go to the high level of cybersecurity and why it's needed and why it's needed. Then I talk to the source, which is the architect and the evangelist of IT, like my husband, and say, hey, how does this work for education? How does this work for that? I have an in-house tutor, literally. His company is the number one in terms of AI and technology and predicting basically at cyber attacks, right? Mm-hmm. So what better ways than to talk to the root people who's done this? He doesn't do coding, but we also know a coder who does it. So what I do is I extrapolate those information, make it sense for the business people, and then make those words connect. Hey, if you actually have a $2 million to $1 million company right now, and you don't have a really good security system in your organization with data points, they can literally hold your company hostage. Let me give you this case study and how that happened, right? Even education and hospital. Someone died in Australia because someone actually did a cyber attack on hospital and shut down every machine. Well, they had people on a coma and people on the machine, on the oxygen. They shut it down. Now, if they were ready, they would have lived there, but they didn't have the money to pay for $2 million hostage for your data points, right?
Right.
So I said, I'm not trying to scare you, but these are the possibilities. That's how you talk to business people. Okay. That's not like, oh yeah, this is 7-layer burrito. We're going to have this firewall. Huh? Nobody understands that. So that's what I do is I interpret so that the two can connect and make sure that the business people understand what that means for your business.
Yeah, and that's really important too. It's amazing how we all kind of develop our own language. I was on another show not too long ago, and it wasn't FUBAR, but apparently I said something, and she picked right up. She goes, and then you could tell she's military because we have acronyms for everything, and she like spelled out what the acronym was for. But when you get used to a certain language or like certain acronyms, you can just kind of get going, and it's amazing how they kind of translate in different things. But yeah, it's important to have that.
Yeah, I always bridge communications. I used to do when I was a stay-at-home mom. I did a lot of different things. The first thing I did was I was making $600 every 30 minutes doing connections for business on Asian, because some of my family members owned company, but they wanted to go with global international like Nestle and all that to do manufacturing. Well, they don't understand the culture of Asians, and then the manufacturer don't understand that my family don't understand the culture of, Switzerland. So I had to research, and I said, okay, this is how we do this thing, so we could make sure, and you need each other because of this. And I give them evidence, and then the deal broke, and I'm like, here you go. I'm like, thank you, and I was stay-at-home mom at that time. That's why when I couldn't get a job, I'm like, what do you mean I don't have skills? What are you talking about? I got mad skills. You just can't see it, right? And so,
those are important skills too. We lose so much today because of communication is messed up. One says one means this. I think that's a really valuable skill right there, because we have a lot of communication breakdown, I think, going on.
Yeah, lots. And actually all the, we add not the same language, we add the ego in there, and it's disaster, like disaster waiting to happen. There's a lot going on in that capacity in terms of business, period. Yeah,
it is. So you are an international published author and podcast host. How do you stay innovative and keep your content engaging for your audience? You've got so many things going on. That's a lot of content to keep putting.
Yeah. So basically I do every 3 months anthology. I bring people, new authors, seasoned authors, to an anthology. I don't know if you guys know how much a book costs on your own. You're looking between $20,000 to $60,000 to create your own book, like really well, right? And there's this, it's not enough that you have a book. Obviously, you can do self-publishing at any time. If you want to research it and give it time, you can. But the differentiator, we always look for a differentiator, is if you have hit a bestseller, international bestseller, and then #1 international bestseller. Like it literally was like that. So I hit always the highest. I will always strive for the highest, but I don't guarantee or promise people, because it really depends on collaboration. And how I can elevate and stay connected is through collaboration over competition. I truly believe in that, right? Because I'm limited to my capacity. We all have capacity. I'm limited to my years of wisdom, my experiences, right? But if I add yours, Laura, and I add this friend, and think about 27 different people averaging, let's say, 30 years of experience. How many years of experience actually you're getting in that book of information, right? And so what I do is I always I don't have to be an expert on the social justice or what's going on with the environment or what's the mental health. What I do is I put my foot and my fingers, and I have all my friends tell me, CJ, this is what's happening right now. I said, okay. And then we literally have surveys and said, okay, what are some of the things that you guys would need solution right now? And they're like, well, we'd have mental wellness, blah, blah, blah. And then I prioritize. I also use software. That's where the IT comes from. I said, okay, let's look at what is actually going on and rating on Google right now to do the topic. That's how I do with my YouTube too. So once I did, I'm like, okay, we take top 5. Then from that top 5, we even develop it further. What are some of the things that comes up for you? And it really depends on what I'm also doing and what's going on with my community. And I pick a topic, and then I go with that and level up. But I don't do it alone. I have a lot of ideas. Some are crazy. And I put it out there for my community. I said, guys, help me out. And what are some of the things that comes up for you? And then I take it, and then I innovate, and then just research the heck out of it. I have a lot of smart friends.
Yep.
So, smarter than me. So I said, okay.
Yep. I've always said, if you're the smartest one in the room, you're in the wrong room. Okay, well, we had a little snag there. I don't know where it snagged, but I always say, if you're the smartest one in the room, you're in the wrong room. And I also wanted to say, anyone that knows CJ knows that she normally has a snoring pup nearby, which is kind of why I was smiling too, because I'm pretty sure he or she is at your feet, because I could hear the snoring. So if you're all wondering what that sound is, that is our beloved pup snoring down there.
I have 2. So one of them had a major surgery about a week and a half ago, and then the other one has some like emotional distress issue. Even if I close my door, actually they're more noisy because they enlisted my German Shepherd to whine and scratch the door. So then it's even worse, because then I'm irritated and I can't concentrate. I have ADHD, so I'm like, okay, let me open the door. And so then I have both of these here. I was like, that's fine. We're just going to go with it. Everyone knows in my YouTube the snoring bullies, but in this days.
Yeah, I have a service pup too that has separation anxiety. So he's always here. So if you heard nails, he got up and moved, and then you plop back down. But hey, it helps us stay balanced. But
that's right. Being mindful, right?
There you go. Being mindful.
Yes.
So how do you approach mentoring students from diverse backgrounds? What strategies do you find most effective in helping them realize their potential?
What I usually do is I don't offer my advice. I also don't offer my ideas or my thoughts, because I'm limited to that capacity. So when I teach a class, usually it's 2.5 hour lecture. I do work full time as a teacher. So it's every 6.5 hours every day I teach live. And what I do is, guys, I just tell them, I cannot talk for 2.5 hours. It's just not going to happen, right? So I lecture usually for about an hour, and then my lecture usually are about real life situations. So I take the theory and put it into action, and how it actually, so I look for examples that make sense for the people who are in my class. And most of my students right now are 90% veterans. And so when I talk about leadership and chain of command, I don't need to explain that. I'm not in the military. They know what a chain of command is, right? Right? So what I do is I involve them. I said, hey, we have some students who are not in the military, including myself here. Educate me, right? Tell me, what does chain of command means to you in that? And then I will extrapolate that information and put it in a business sense and how it would work on business. And they're like, oh, that makes sense. So my class usually is about asking a lot of questions rather than telling them what to do. The same thing for business. When you assume because you're an expert and you assume that this person's coming in, they want this, you will fail. And also, even if they maybe like buy something from you, they're not going to continuously be sustainable because you're not listening to what they need. The only way you could listen in is to ask questions, right? And there are right and wrong questions to ask. Open-ended and closed-ended. There are actually. And, we were always told, no such thing as stupid questions. There is. I just want you to know, especially in business. It's okay to be curious though, right? That's
right.
not if you ask questions, that's not stupid questions. But if you already sometimes know the answer, but you're asking the question for the sake of asking the question, I looked at you, I'm like, really? For real? You're like, okay, let me rephrase that, Dr. Leyland. I'm like, yeah, that's what I thought. Because I want experiential learning, meaning you just don't learn from me. We learn from each other. And then we have one theory. Let's provide solutions to that. So it doesn't matter what culture you're in. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. We have one goal, which is to learn from each other. So that's how I usually tackle my students.
Yeah. And that's also living by what you always talk about is collaboration. Like there's so many different ways to collaborate. And I'm like you, because I get people, the business classes will teach you, well, what's your competition doing? I'm like, don't have competition. I am uniquely me. We all have different perspectives. I'm like, I collaborate. I don't care what other people are doing. I do me. And who it resonates with. And I love collaborating with like-minded people.
Yeah, there's no such thing as competition in terms of that. There's always competition in terms of industry or maybe like doing the same thing. But like I have a lot of friends who does publicity and marketing. We're doing the same thing, elevating people. Why wouldn't you? Right?
Right.
It's just that you're uniquely you because you're doing it differently than them, but you're doing the same marketing, the same highlights. It's just different questions, right? Different questions garner different answers, even if it's the same person being interviewed. So yeah.
And different perceptions, because me and 10 million other, mindfulness or self-care people can be giving you the same message, but we're going to come across differently or have a different way of putting it. And it resonates different, I believe.
Yeah, it's also based on your experiences and both personally and professionally makes a huge difference. And when you actually do, seek growth, and instead of scarcity mindset, you're actually seeking growth and accepting your own flaws and things like that. You actually open up more and you're like, I was thinking like that. I can't believe I did that. Right. And so you're growing even more. And the people who know you like 10 years ago would be shocked to know how much you grow even the last 5 seconds ago. Right. Yeah.
You're right. Right. So can you share an experience where you had to adapt your teaching approach to cater to different learning styles?
Yes, so that's one thing I love. I also have a certificate from MIT on how to create courses, right? Because people are like, I create courses, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, dude, you're only doing one learning style. There's at least 3 minimum and hundreds of combination. So you got to do auditory, kinesthetic, which is I'm kinesthetic, and visual. And then there's also text, right? So there's that 4. So what I do is I teach a class that does all 4 of them. So I will never have to make other people feel like, oh, I can't learn because this is not video and I like to do visual. So what I always do is I teach people in Level Up Academy, my team, on how to hit all the learning styles so that we don't have to guess if the students are getting it or not. Because most students will always say, okay, I'm learning the same thing, but I'm learning on my own way, which is kinesthetic. Then I'm writing down. Oh, I'm auditory. I'm watching her video and I'm doing something else. I'm taking notes, right? So I hit every single learning style in one way, and I know how to do it because I'm doing it for almost 11 years, 12 years now. Yeah.
Yeah. So since we are in the era of digital media, what are the top strategies you employ to enhance a brand's visibility?
I actually do a lot. The first thing that I usually do, the main focus that I have for publicity, I call it brand awareness. First, I need to make my customers aware what brand awareness is, right? When you're on a TV show, when you're in a radio show, don't expect that customers will be knocking on your door, lining up for you. Okay. That is called brand awareness. That is part of marketing. what it does is basically being aware, like an announcement. Hello, Laura's doing a TV show. Right? That's literally what it is, brand awareness, right? But when you're like doing branding, you're looking at this, all the names, all the topography, all the color scheme, all of that. That's branding, right? I don't do branding. I do brand awareness. So make sure that you know the difference. However, how I level it up is I'm going to teach you. I don't stop just shouting you out. I'm going to teach you how to use those authority in your space so you can be competitive at some capacity with some other people. And so that's how I do is I level up through publishing because you need to leave your legacy. I level up to TV just like this 2 times in a week. I do a radio show, regular radio, not MP3 like Spotify. I do that too, but regular radio because they have 30 different countries. So I do hip hop and R&B style from that because that's a different culture in the entertainment. So I hit that up and I literally hit up MP3, Spotify. I'm top 10 global out of all 3 million podcasters in there. And I'm trying to be in the top 5 soon because I'm competitive too. But I hit all kinds of communications in the digital space to do that. But you have to have an authority. Like imagine says, oh, I'm a digital marketer. And you look at their presence in the digital marketing, right? Social media, and they have 0 following. Or you could go to CJ that has 50,000 subscribers on YouTube, 20, whatever, 100 in Instagram and TikTok and all that. That's top 5 in social media. Who would you believe? Right? Because people believe based on what you're doing, not based on what you're talking. So in the digital space, everything counts and everyone counts. But the only way is like when you wish something, make sure you have actions and strategies and tactics on how to get there. And you cannot do it alone. I don't care how good you are. It's just not happening.
No, it's a lot. Yeah. And like you said, you have a team, at least behind the level up and stuff. You have a team of people that, to help you.
Yep. They are voluntold, but yes.
So how do you measure the success? Well, other than being in the top 10 and stuff, how do you measure the success of your content and which metrics do you focus on the most?
Actually engagement. So I look at, so YouTube now gives me a media kit, and they give me a store. So I have a store on YouTube and they also give me membership. So what I do is I look at engagement and I look at subscriptions. I look at the gender, basically on which one is, because like on TV, I have more women watching. On YouTube, I have more men watching. Then I also look at the age group, because let's be honest, an 18-year-old cannot afford a $40,000 class. It's just not happening. Right. So what I do is I take all of that. It says, okay, based on, I look at the government site in terms of affordability and disposable income, because that's what I teach. I also do research. And so I said, okay, disposable income between age 45 to this, and it depends if they have family or they have kids, or they're both married, but they're both income provider. So then I target those people for those services. Now my clients, however, have the services. So I ask them, hey, who's your target market? Right? A lot of people goes, oh, everyone. I'm like, okay, that's way too big. Let's mix it down a little bit. Who's everyone your ideal, right? So then you get for me to teach them what's persona, what is all of these things. And then I kind of get them to journey. But if they don't get it, I don't try to navigate or tell them what to do. I offer them alternatives like, hey, I have a friend who does branding. I have a friend who does strategy. Once you are actually doing this, come back to me, then I'll be happy to do brand awareness, because it's important to me that my customers and my clients know that I'm not here just to take their money. I'm here to actually make sure they have the best journey. Because then they're going to keep coming back to me, and then they're going to give me referrals because they know I got their back. But for me to just take money and just like, bye, no, I don't do that. Because I aim for a relationship more than anything.
Yeah, absolutely. And to me, I think that's important. And as you know, I'm sure you know, because I've also have, the TV show. When you start doing stuff like this, you start getting hit up by like almost every SEO marketer. Oh, we can do this and we can help make this better. And it's like, okay, but when they can't even spell words out the right way approaching me, I'm like, no, I'm okay. Thank you. So
I get those too. And I actually teach them how to approach. I'm like, stop pitch slapping people. No one wants to be pitch slapped. No one's like, Laura, wow, your YouTube is really good in your TV show. But you know what? You got this problem, this problem, this problem, this problem. I'm like, bro, I know I got problems. Like, stop. You know what I mean? I'm not going to go with you showing me what my problem is. Like, what? No. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what they do. And they're like, you want that to grow? I said, it's growing organically. I'm okay right now. I was like, my audience watches online. We have over 6,100 audience. I'm like, we're growing, but yeah, it's just kind of trying to find a polite way sometimes to shut that down, because it's just another, boom. That's why they keep requesting to connect or watch. And I know we all need to make a living, but I'm like you. I think there's better ways to approach it and do that to be, helpful. So as a premium publicity writer, what advice do you have for individuals looking to enhance their personal brand and visibility in today's competitive market?
Literally forget about the publicity and everything else. What you need to do is really look at, you have to look at what exactly you want from your business. That's the very first thing, right? Because if you are doing publicity everywhere, all of these, and you can't keep up with the demand that you have, you're going to look bad. You're going to literally look bad, right? So what you're going to do is to hone in exactly what you want. And then from there, you can actually make sure, I'm sorry, hold on one second. So in terms of publicity, I want you guys to focus on who you are as a company, what you want to accomplish, and make sure that your foundation is actually really strong, so that when your customer really wants your services, you are ready for that, right? Don't seek publicity here and there and everywhere if you're not ready for that. Also, make sure that you think ahead. Okay, now that I get this publicity, I want this premium magazine. How am I going to use it conducive to my business? There's a right way of doing it and there's a wrong way of doing it as well. So what I do, if you go with me, is I usually teach you, this is the way that we can elevate your authority, and also will teach you how to slowly get your customers and look for funnels and things like that. Because it's important that when you spend money and get you solidified, that you're getting your ROI, right? You're getting that rate of return. And marketing is the most expensive part of your business to run, but it's also satisfying to see there's changes, but it's really hard to give you ROI on that capacity sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have your Level Up code for your Level Up Academy. What can people find and connect with you through the Level Up? What all does it offer?
So basically for Level Up, I have two websites actually, but if you go on my main Lua by Doc Leyland website, that website will give you courses and information and what we offer as services. And then if you want to engage me, period, on that capacity, you go with levelupwithdoc.com. And that will give you my calendar. That will give you what's happening with my MP3 and live stream. I have free connection Wednesdays, so all of my customers or all my connections can come in for free on Wednesday to highlight them. But that's not available until like June or July, just FYI.
She's a little booked up, which is understandable, because I know you're just, even when you and I had a call, it's like, she's so amazing. She goes, oh, you could do this. And she just gives you so many wonderful tidbits, because that's just where her heart is. So your YouTube channel, I know you're over 50,000 now. What kind of content is on your YouTube channel?
So my YouTube channel has mostly the lives. The lives is where I highlight connections, right? I had Brian Drury. He had like 20 million views in one of his video. And he actually, all of these gurus that you're looking at and all of the business owners, I ask them for always valuable information. How do you do this so people can do it? So that's where the live goes. Some of my videos will teach you how to show up for your own, like maybe create your own swag, maybe create your own, NFC cards when you're on networking and you just kind of do this. I teach you how to do that. Instead of buying and spending $25, literally you can do it for $1. I teach you how to do it too. So yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So much. There's so much to cover. So CJ, what is most important? What would you most likely to share with our audience before we go today?
Buy my book. It's with this 27 different people. We did hit #1 international bestseller. And so definitely read up, and hopefully really our goal was to inspire people and to let you know that there's hope. When you have so much adversity in life, sometimes it feels like you're drowning in sorrow and pain and you're like, I'm done with this lifetime. I've been there. But when you actually hear people's stories and seeing that they have not just survived, but they're thriving in their own adversity, we hope that you guys are going to be inspired by their stories.
Yeah. And I like that term too. It's not just surviving, it's thriving.
That's right.
Big difference between them. And so where would they find your book? And what's
just go to Amazon.com and then just type Constance Leyland. You will see the first book called Beyond Boundaries. It will be like a head with you can't miss it. It will be Beyond Boundaries, and that's the current book that we have right now.
Awesome. And you said you've authored 8 books, correct? You have others?
Yeah, so 4 anthologies, one of my couple of journals, academic publishing in 6 different languages. So if you count those, it's probably more than that now. And then, of course, my dissertation in HR. But I'm hoping to hit 4 more books by the end of this year.
And I have no doubt that you will hit that because I've seen her go to work. She goes to work, if you couldn't tell. CJ, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to sharing your knowledge and your wisdom and everything with everybody. I know you're very busy, so I'm glad we were finally able to connect and to do this and share your knowledge with everyone. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Laura, for this time. Have a wonderful day.
Absolutely. Everybody have a wonderful week, and we will see you next week.